Here's a weird St. Patrick's Day fact. Did you know that Don Prudhomme and Carol Shelby are banned from Ireland? Look it up. That teardown catches us up with basically where we were yesterday to start putting everything together. Now we're at the point of cutting this next one. Now what I've done is I saved the piece I cut out. I know that this faces inboard, this faces the wheel. These are not perfectly aligned with each other. The top holes are wider apart than the bottom holes, so it has to go upright and it has to go facing this way. So if it has to go facing that way, that means I am cutting out that right there if you line those holes up. So that's why I kept the piece. So you transfer that to the other side, you make an X that this is the part you're cutting out, and again, line the holes up, and now you can draw your line and make your cut. And that should get us right where we need to be. Alrighty, that cut should pretty much bring us up to speed with yesterday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you in closer on this side so you can see some of the stuff I did yesterday that maybe you didn't get good eyes on. So let's move in, shall we? The first part of this, all we need to do is kind of bend that brake line out of the way without breaking it. And you're going to slide this on just like this. So the two holes that we saved, 1, 2, are on top, and the actual caliper mounting part, this part, faces towards the rear of the truck. So this is going over the axle towards the front of the truck. Boop. And then we will start our bolts. I don't know what this piece does yet. It's not on the other side. Somebody probably knows exactly what it does, but I don't. So for now, I want to take it off because I'm not sure why it's here, and the other side doesn't have it. So we'll just unthread it with our metric vice grip here. Yeah, there we go. Seems to be about an 8mm vice grip. Now, as I learned yesterday, don't put the caliper bracket on right now. So it's going to go axle, rotor, then caliper mounting bracket. When you put this back in, try to hold it up and keep it off the bottom of that tube, because if any dirt's going to collect, it's going to collect on the bottom of that tube. Just whoop, bam! Look at that. That was perfect. Everything lined up wonderfully for some reason. Who knows? We'll take it. All right, rotor. Spray the rotor off to get any of that flash inhibitor grease or shipping grease, whatever you want to call it, off of there. This is the actual caliper mounting bracket, not just the mounting bracket. And this one is 2 bolts, and it goes on the inside of this plate. I'll show you a little bit better. Okay, that's better. So this caliper mounting bracket goes on the inside of the plate. It goes, you notice, here's our mounting plate for the entire assembly. This caliper bracket goes on the inside. If you put it on the outside, the rotor definitely will never go on. It goes to the inside and clamps around the rotor loosely. You want to make sure those are pretty tight because that actually holds the caliper in place. So you don't need that flying off at you at any point in time while you're braking. That would not be cool. Alright, brakey pads. I always use some disc brake quiet on them. You spray it on the back side here, and just a light coating like that. Turn it pink or purple, whatever. And that is supposed to help on the initial break-in, like that. It's supposed to help collect dust, and it also keeps them from falling out. It doesn't do that. but it's supposed to collect dust, so you don't get brake noise while the pads are wearing in. You've got your 2 bolts to hold this caliper on, and that's really about it. The emergency brake we still have to deal with. Now there is, on here, there is a flat spot. You can see it right here, how this is a flat edge, the rest of it's round. The flat edge has to go over towards the piston on the caliper. That way you can slide it over and line it up. If you don't, you're going to spend all day fighting to try to get that to line up. Okay, let's see. Now, 13mm wrench to snug everything up, and this side is done. What you end up with is, here are your 2 caliper mounts, and then your caliper mounting bracket goes here on this entire mounting bracket. Rotor's right there. The only thing left is this brake hard line has to go onto your brake flex hose. So that's what we're going to do now. This brake flex hose mounts right here to the caliper using this bolt. This is a banjo bolt. It has a hole here in it, and it has a hole here in it, and that's what lets the brake fluid into the caliper. And it comes with a couple of caliper washers. One goes on the bolt, then bolt goes into, see, how am I going to do that? Then bolt goes into bracket, second washer goes on here, then it goes right there. And now I've got to get a bleeder screw. And here's the brake bleeder screw. It's got a hole in it, and then a hole in the end of it, and it goes up above here. It has to be at the high point. If your bleed screw is down below here, you've got it on the wrong side, and you switch your calipers. Otherwise, you will have nothing but air in that system forever. Now, I'm going to do the wrong thing. And I'm going to use this steel line, and now I'm going to bend the crap out of it to make it what I want. Let's see here. Just careful not to kink it when you're going to do the wrong thing this way, because you're trying to not buy another line. So if you're not careful when you're doing it the wrong way, you're going to end up breaking it anyways. Just need to get it back facing the rear of the vehicle so that I can hook up to this hose. And then I'll worry about exact placement. There we go. Okay. So let's snug this up, and then we will let it sort of gravity bleed for a little bit. I'll just vice grip it, and it'll be probably mostly fine. Okay. There we go. Now we can sort of finish manhandling this steel line a little bit better. That's pretty close. Now this flex hose on this side is touching this caliper, and you don't want it touching the caliper at all, so you need to sort of just, it's a steel line, and you can bend it up off there if just as long as you're careful. There we go. It doesn't need to take much. That's off of there. That'll go that way. I'm pretty sure I can make that reach. Oh yeah. That'll be just fine. Doesn't seem to be leaking, so must be right. Let's get the bolt in for that bracket. These would also be like the dustpan or dust shield bolts. That's almost good enough. All right, let's get the other side. All we're doing here is threading this bolt in to hold this bracket in place. That's really about it. All right, so I've got the wheels back on it and the tires, and it's back on the ground. So you can see I've got clearance here. I might want to bend that just a little bit to get a little more than that width there. I've got plenty of room up here behind this bracket. There's no clearance issues with the caliper. These are the 1994 to 04 Ford Mustang GT or V6 rear disc brakes. If you use the Cobra disc brakes, they are larger, and apparently they won't fit with the 15-inch wheel. So if you're going up a wheel size to 16 or 17, you could probably buy the Cobra setup, but if not, the V6 or the GT 94 to 04 rear disc brake kit will work just fine. The only thing left to do is we've got our e-brake cables, which will clip into here, but I need to make a bracket to get this part to clip into, because it's a different distance from here to here than my spring. So it needs to be farther back. It needs to be probably somewhere out here. Other than that, I've got the cover still off this differential for 2 reasons. A, I've got that lunchbox locker to put in, and 2, the fill plug for this is completely rusted. So I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna get that out, or if I'm not gonna get it out, one consideration is I might do basically like a Chrysler setup, buy the rubber fill plug, and when I get it in, measure the diameter, drill that hole about here in my cover, and just run a Chrysler style rubber fill plug. That's really it. Other than that, that's gonna do it for today. Tomorrow I will work on finishing bleeding this brake setup and maybe making some brackets for the e-brake cables. But for today, that's gonna do it. So see you next time.